what's up, guys? Thunder John here, student pastor for The Well, and I'm so excited about tonight. Got one of my good friends delivering the message tonight. So y'all get up off your seats and give it up for my boy, y'all's favorite light guy, Rob. Rob the light guy. Tear it up, y'all. We'll see you guys after the message. Peace.
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Rob. For one, I love a good joke. I've always been about comedy. I was obsessed with cheesy dad jokes, knock-knock jokes as a kid. You know, Richard Pryor, Red Fox, Eddie Murphy. I watched countless stand-ups. So, going into college, I always had the dream of getting on stage and doing the comedy thing. Well, I had an opportunity. And the first time I got on stage, I was super nervous. But once I got up there and I told my favorite jokes that I had written down, that I'd come up with over the time, they landed so well with the audience. And people were laughing from end to end. And at the end of the set, I got off stage and people wanted to have conversations with me. Like, hey man, you're funny. That was great. And man, it just felt good. So that brings me to this. Do you think Jesus had a sense of humor? I mean, I for one think he did. Galatians 5:22 through 23 says, but what happens when we live God's way? He brings gifts into our lives. We develop a willingness to stick with things, a sense of compassion in the heart, and a conviction that a basic holiness permeates things and people. We find ourselves involved in loyal commitments. So this verse to me means that God reflects the character of love, joy, kindness, and he always does the right thing to lead us. It's the fruit of the Spirit. So, long time ago, I was in middle school. About 15 years ago to be exact. So, the week before spring break, we would have this huge event at school called Rebel Fest. It was called Rebel Fest because our mascot was a raging rebel. So, at Rebel Fest, you'd pay $1, you'd get 4 tickets. So with those tickets, you could buy pizza, there was a dunking booth, there was water balloon fights, even a carriage ride. Man, it was pretty legit. So the week of the event, me and all of my friends, we decide we're not gonna spend a dime of our own money. And so I'm thinking, this is a pretty good idea. It's also a bad idea. But hey, I'm hopped up on Capri Suns and Sour Skittles, so let's do this. Let's have some fun. So, we take our bikes, we ride down to Walmart, and we grab a roll of red tickets. These tickets were our in to living like kings at Rebel Fest. So we go into Rebel Fest, we spread the tickets around, and I'm talking, we're buying pizzas, we're having a ball doing kickball, we're dunking all the teachers because I have an endless roll of tickets, so it didn't matter. So, Rebel Fest is over, it's time to go home. Pack up, get on our bikes, I'm riding in front of the school. Little did I know, my backpack was a little unzipped, so the tickets slipped out. And I panicked. So what do? I just rode that bike faster and faster until I got home. So now, this is when my conscience comes into play. I'm freaking out. I am worried the whole week of spring break about this coming back and biting me. So I'm stressing. I mean, I couldn't go out to eat with the family. I had trouble going play with my friends. Wasn't no swimming going on, no basketball. I was just stressing, y'all. So, spring break's over. My spring break wasn't very spring breaky. But I'm sitting in my first hour class. We hear over the loudspeaker, "Armelin, come to the office." Oh man, I knew it was up. I knew it was time to come clean. So, get out of class, I excuse myself. I'm walking down the hall. My heart is pounding. Freaking out. Walk into the office, and all of my friends that were also involved in this ridiculous plan are sitting there, heads down, crying, shaking, worrying, not knowing what the outcome would be. So I sit next to everybody, and I was just like, hey, this one's on me. I stressed about this all week, and I'm gonna go ahead and take the hit for this one. This one's on me, guys. Don't worry. I'm gonna go in first. I'm gonna talk to the principal. Things will be all right. So with a look of relief, my friends are like, man, thanks. Really appreciate it. So I go in. And so I tell the principal the whole story, the whole scheme. And he looks at me with disgust. Rightfully so. You know, I was a good kid growing up, and it really, really disappointed him to see me do such a thing. So, of course, I gotta suffer the consequences. Things go down. Luckily, there was no suspension or anything like that. I was just tossed in detention for a couple of days. So, the record was clear there. So, I want to ask you guys this. Do you think God found humor in this? I bet he did. You know, he put it on my conscience through that whole week to, I've got to get this off of me. I'm thinking about it. I can't sleep. Whenever I do sleep, I'm dreaming about it. I have to let this go. And boy, did I let it go when the principal brought me in that office. Man, I'm talking, I got tears all over the place. There's snot, I'm crying. It was crazy. It was a big scene because I've always been a good kid, and that was my first big run into trouble. But you know what? After I let the principal know everything and how I felt, it was like a huge weight was lifted off of me. I was so relieved to know that, yes, I made this mistake, but it was okay. Like, I'm going to overcome this. And he really showed me a lot of forgiveness and a lot of grace through that. You know, perhaps we're accustomed of thinking of Jesus as a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. Maybe the image of a laughing Jesus offends us simply because it makes him too human. So in Hebrews 4:15, it says, "For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who in every respect has been tempted as we are, and yet without sin." This tells us that Jesus is able to sympathize with us because he is exactly like us. God has gifted us with a sense of humor. It stands to reason that Jesus had one too. So, in a warning about judging others, Jesus said, "How dare you say to your brother, 'Please, let me take the speck out of your eye,' when you have a log in your eye." That's a Saturday Night Live sketch waiting to happen if I've ever seen one. I mean, just imagine a guy walks into a room with a big old telephone pole sticking out of his eye, knocking water bottles down and cameras down and everything in the room. I mean, that's pretty funny to me. So I know Jesus telling that story, he has some humor behind it. I mean, only Jesus can just write a visual that funny. But I'm not denying the serious impact of the scriptures. But some stories and sayings are just funny to me. This is especially true in the teachings of Jesus, who was not only a brilliant teacher, but also a pretty good comedian. Good, clean humor celebrates the goodness of God. It is the key component of joy and one of the primary attributes of Jesus. The Christian walk should be a joyful one. We shouldn't walk around shameful, sad. I made a mistake. Oh man, look at me. I don't know how to move on from this. We should have joy. We should know that we can keep pushing on and we can go forward because Jesus has given us grace. He's given us mercy, and his love will help us through it all. Jesus had many opportunities to laugh. He dealt with people on a daily, experiencing miracles. He restored loved ones in health and even brought people back from the dead. Every night, he'd sit around a campfire with 12 men. Who could imagine 12 guys sitting around a campfire and not sharing some jokes? I know when me and my friends get together, me, Joe, Thunder, we get together, we're telling jokes and we're having a good time. We cut up and it's fun. So it's hard to think that Jesus didn't have that same kind of laughter through his life all the way up to the end of his life. Jesus was always surrounded by joy, happiness, merriment, delight, and gladness. So those things usually bring laughter because you're cutting up and you're having a good time. I like to think it would be hard for Jesus to have followers if he walked around with a look of doom on his face and people were just like, oh man, let me follow the guy with the frowny face because he's got some good ideas. I like to think that Jesus showed a presence that people were like, man, this guy's got some power. He's smiling and he just gives me this joy just to be around him. So that's why people followed him, because they knew that being in the presence of Jesus, it wasn't about always being sad, because there was just a joy that would creep up and make every moment better. So I'll just go ahead and leave you guys with these 3 points. First one is this. To find humor in a bad situation, you have to see that God knows the punchline. He was writing the joke. I just had to let him tell it and get out of the way. Jesus had this whole thing planned out for me. I thought I was in control of this plan because I went and I bought these tickets. And these tickets were going to make us kings of Rebel Fest. But Jesus was like, hold on. Let me write the end of this joke for you. I got a killer punchline. You might not laugh now, but you're going to learn your lesson here in the future. But I'm going to take you through the patience and you having to clear that conscience. Be honest with yourself, first and foremost. That was one of the things that I had to do. I had to be honest with myself about the situation. Yeah, I was ashamed. Like I said, I went home and I didn't talk to my parents about it. I didn't talk to anybody about the situation that I was caught up in. But I had to be honest with myself before I could reach out and clear the air. So before I could approach the principal on that day, I had to know that I have got to let this go. And last point, you can never be too proud to laugh at yourself. This is honestly probably the 3rd time I've ever told this story. And before I put this down here, I talked to one of my buddies that was involved in it. And so we kind of recaptured everything and talked about the story that happened in the 8th grade. And we laughed. Now, 15 years ago, nothing was funny about this because, we had repercussions at school. And, of course, my parents weren't happy about the situation. But now looking back, it was a funny life lesson. And, God just doesn't want you to live any moment in shame. He wants us to find joy in making mistakes and learning from them. And that's what I did. So I'm going to close out with this, guys. I ask today that we may cultivate a sense of humor and use it to help others as well as ourselves. And understand that the times that God wants to teach us a lesson, He's chuckling while we try to figure it out on our own, knowing we got to reach back to Him for answers. Let God write your story. He tells the best jokes. Let us realize that humor is also a creation of yours, God, and that a smile is one of the greatest blessings of life. Teach me to stress the positive side of life and develop a fine sense of humor. Amen. Hope you guys enjoyed. It was fun. Have a good day, guys. Love you.
Man, what an awesome fire message, man. I hope you guys enjoyed it like I did. So here's what's gonna happen next week. Next Wednesday, the 17th, we will not be doing Wednesday Night Live. Oh, sad day, right? However, we're gonna meet in person for our first night at the movies. So what are we showing? We're showing Into the Spider-Verse. We're gonna have some popcorn, some drinks, all the cool stuff for you guys. We cannot wait to see you guys next Wednesday. So make sure you be at the church no later than 6, and we'll start showing the movie at 6, and hopefully we'll be done by 7:30. I can't wait to see you guys. I miss you guys. We'll see you guys next Wednesday for our night at the movies. Love you guys. Peace.